Welcome back, tribe. I have one here from Diary of CEO. Why women aren't attracted to nice guys. We have a whole estrogen expert explaining this. See,
They seem to get a lot of the sort of sexual attention, right? And what is that about?
But that's like despite the fact that they're bad boys. I mean, so it depends on how we're defining bad boys. Okay, so
kind of arrogant, little bit.
Yeah. So a lot of those are cues related to testosterone, right? So having, being risk tolerant, so being willing to do things that are really risky, and being a little bit arrogant because you're always going to succeed. I mean, those are cues related to status and related to sometimes testosterone levels, right? And so we know that women like both of these things in their partners. And so because of that, those men will tend to do pretty well on the mating market.
There you go.
For men who, don't have those qualities, so men who are not, risk seeking and are not
nice guys, beta bobs, bug sandwich, walking wallets, simps, basically, is what she's saying.
Arrogant. That's not necessarily going to not do them favors unless that also is, an indicator that they have other qualities that aren't working for them. You can have somebody who's very successful, right, and has high testosterone, who's not a jerk, right? And that guy will do pretty well.
Why would you tell your son to go to the gym?
I would tell my son to go to the gym because it's like one way that you can naturally increase your testosterone levels is by building muscle. And also
look at that.
Another thing that does is that muscle mass is related to reductions in anxiety. And the reason for this is because if you're
go lift. It's like everything we've ever been saying is also backed by science. Wow, man, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm not a meathead. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, look, she's scientifically telling you what happens when you put on mass, what happens to your hormone levels, what happens to your mentality. It's for you, not for women, not to impress people, bro. This stuff, you go to the gym or you have a physical activity that you indulge in. Could be rock climbing. It could be camping, hiking. Who gives a shit? You need to move your body. You need to stress the system because like any animal, dude, if you sit still too long, you start to self-destruct. That energy is pent up. It's a machine that's made to redline, not sit around and accumulate this energy and then it's like destructive within the body. Idle hands are a devil's playthings. It's like when you're bored, when you have nothing to do, you're just atrophying. You're getting into the bad shit. I'll start whacking it. I'll start playing video games all day. I'll start, doing other things that don't actually serve you. Why do you think you're so relaxed when you've had a really hard day where you've done the most? Oftentimes it's a physical thing. Long day of work. Why are you so calm when you're home? Out with the boys, I don't know, playing basketball at the park, if you remember those days, or football out on the street when you were a little kid, or whatever it was when you were in gym class and you guys actually did something decently physical. I know they've basically erased gym class, but remember how calm you felt? For the guys that go to the gym or pursue rock climbing or whatever the hell it is that you pursue, isn't it strange how relaxed you feel after undergoing that? Guys that wake up early and go running, why do you feel so relaxed? The tension melts off your body when you're done with your run. This is for you, dude. It's not for women. It's not to impress other people and be a meathead. This quite literally will save your life as a man. We are physical beings. We understand the physical nature and the realities of the world. And the only way to align your mind, body, and spirit is through the physical realm first. You must connect yourself to your physical self in order to open up the gates inside here. Why do you think people pursue extreme sports? Shit like that takes them to a deep part within their psyche, man.
Big dude, it means that you're going to be able to protect yourself. And so your brain makes the adjustment and it makes you more confident and less anxious when you have some muscle mass. And so I would say go and do those things. And then also doing the things that you can to get access to resources and status, right? So study and work hard. Because ultimately, people who do that tend to do well, and people who do well financially and do well in terms of, ascending the status hierarchy, they tend to also do well in the mating market if they're men.
Have you got a daughter?
I sure do.
Your daughter comes home. Mum, I've tried my best. And no one's interested.
Right. Yeah. No. So for my daughter, then I would say, then you need to wait, right? You are probably in the wrong mating pool. Would be my advice to her.
Why?
My advice to her, because a few things. So many of the things that women sort of possess, that men desire in their choice of partners, are things that women don't have that much control over, right? It's like a woman's like youth and reproductive value and these things related to fertility.
You wouldn't tell her to hit the gym?
I mean, I guess I might tell her to hit the gym and it'd probably make her feel better. But I don't think that I would tell her like, you should probably go and get your hair done and, I'm trying to think, oh, well, go off the birth control pill so that if she was on the birth control pill, but she is not. But I'm just thinking in an abstract way, like what I would tell her, like things that women can do to increase their attractiveness to men. I mean, it's like, okay, go be more beautiful. Like what are you going to say? And so, like I said, my real advice, if my daughter said this, I would say you like probably need a different pool of mates.
What if she was 35?
If she was 35, good question. So if she was 35, what would I recommend? Like, is this like what I would actually recommend to my daughter? Or are you trying to get at like what?
You see? Do you see, dude? The post, like she even knows. She goes, ooh, 35. That's a good question. Fertility is now an issue. Mating choices have dried up. You can't compete with the 25-year-olds. Men value that age gap difference. Okay, here we go. Youth and beauty. Father time specifically claims us all. But yeah.
What should a woman do? Because here's I have two different answers, right? So if a woman is just like looking for, if you want me to write a pamphlet called 35-year-old woman, here are the things you need to do to find a partner. I mean, it would have a whole list of unsavory like things that, I mean, it would be like, consider Botox. Men are attracted to women who have features related to youth and fertility. Consider having a Brazilian butt lift because men are also interested in this. Why don't you also consider, spending time on your hair and makeup? But I don't think I would write that book. That's not the advice that I would give.
Do men find confidence attractive in women? Because I was thinking about this as you were speaking, because I can think of many people that I know, many women and men, but many women that I know that are, maybe, approaching their 40s and they're beautiful, but they're single and they don't want to be single. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily a physical thing, it appears, but it seems to be more of like a self-esteem, confidence thing. And I can see how in men confidence matters. Like if they're stood up straight and they exert those those signals of dominance, or not dominance, but like a high status,
right?
That'd be attractive. Is it the same in women? Are men attracted to like confident women?
Yes and no. So women who are seen as more confident, like that is seen as more attractive, for example, like somebody who has some self-assurance of themselves instead of, sort of like kicking their toe in the ground. Generally, people find that attractive, both men and women, but the degree to which that is prioritized is hugely different between the sexes. And if you are a woman and you sort of go out and exude those cues related to like social dominance, for example, and social status, that's not going to necessarily get you a mate. And in some cases, it might actually detract from your attractiveness as a mate.
Nailed
because
it.
People seem to view with
confident in your femininity and your sexuality, knowing that you're a beautiful woman, not needing to put your assets out there. The way she struts when she walks, her hips, the way they sway, shit like that is attractive. But try to be domineering in social interactions, like the loudmouth, the one with all the attention, trying to butt in conversations and take over, that's not attractive. That's essentially what she's saying.
Women who are in positions of power more negatively than how they perceive men. And women who are in positions of power, there's sort of there's definitely a double standard there. And this is something that has been fairly well studied, where they find that there's nobody more polarizing in the world than powerful women. So for example, somebody like Kamala Harris, who is running for president, people seem to either really love her or really hate her. So there's this polarization that happens with powerful women. This happens for anybody who's run for any political office that is a female. You get these sorts of issues. And women who are confident and direct and assertive are seen as being cold and like we call girls bossy, right? When they have these kinds of qualities, whereas if it's a boy or men, it's like leadership potential. And so there is a double standard in how we tend to perceive this. And it's not, over the course of evolutionary history, women did well when they chose high status men, right? That would have given them preferential access to resources for themselves and their children. We don't get that same kind of a pattern for men choosing women, right? Men who chose women who were, high in status and, socially dominant. That doesn't necessarily translate into anything that's going to correspond to increased reproductive success.
A bit of a sort of correlated but uncorrelated point. People talk about daddy issues.
Mm-hmm.
And in your work, I've kind of seen hints of an explanation for daddy issues, i.e. if my father isn't around, that has a big impact on who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any truth to this idea that people can have daddy issues?
Yeah, no, there absolutely is. And so, and when I say this, daddy issues just simply referring to the fact that women whose fathers are not invested in them or are absent during childhood, that these women will tend to have more unrestricted or precocious sexual development and sexual behavior relative to what we see in women who grow up with investing dads. So just to give you an example of some research that's been done looking at this, research finds that women who grow up in a household without an investing dad, so dad is either gone or dad is there, but in name only, so he's not really investing in the family, those women go into puberty significantly earlier than do girls who grow up in two-parent homes with investing fathers. They also tend to have an earlier age at which they begin having sex relative to women who have two dads in the home. And they tend to have a greater number of sexual partners sort of over time relative to girls who grow up with two parents in the home.
Wouldn't they then also go into menopause?
Wow, look at that. Fatherhood, so important. Who says that? Oh, only this side. Well, does the other side say you're strong and independent? What are men good for? Fathers, who cares? Mothers can do it all. Yeah. As your daughter greases up the pole, as she sells her body for $5 on the internet, sucking off half the city, even messes up her hormones to the point where she's getting puberty younger. Huh. Wow. Wow, dads. Sounds very important to have one, doesn't it?
Menopause earlier.
Oh my God, why is Western society crumbling? How do we treat fathers in the home? Oh wait, we rip them apart from their own families. Whenever there's a divorce proceeding, mom automatically gets the kid, not the parent who'd be better suited. Why? Because mom is mom. She has a vagina. Why not? Oh my God. What happens then to the financial ability of this man? We are going to wreck him and give her everything. Hey, you smashed the pool boy because your husband was too busy working, providing? No problem, Gina. You get to have the house and his pension, 401k, retirement funds, all of it. Take at least half and the 2 cars. And you get to bone the pool boy in the house while he lives on the street or in his car. And he's got to restart his life. Oh, and those payments for child support? Don't worry. If he doesn't pay, we'll put him in jail. What? It's almost like the state wants fathers out of the home, wants us to be dependent on the state, wants to raise your kids in a broken home, because then they will be dependent on government programs forever, in and out of the system, most likely arrested or addicted to drugs or needing government assistance for the rest of their lives, because daddy wasn't present to be the helping, guiding hand, to instill self-esteem, boundaries, self-respect. Actions have consequences. Where's the father? Not present. All that disappears. You raise a feminine boy and a whore of a daughter, and you're surprised that society has produced weak, effeminate men, men with very little control over their emotions, and girls that are promiscuous beyond belief. A whore from the streets in 1950 looking at the average woman today would be shocked. She'd be out of work. She can't go on the street corner and show a little bit of cleavage anymore. You just log into Instagram, bro. That will show you everything for free. At least the hoes back in the day were getting paid to show some skin. These hoes do it for free.
That's a really great question. And there is some evidence that suggests that there may be a decrease in ovarian reserve that might go on, but there hasn't been anything linking that to menopause just yet.
Which is the amount of eggs they have in their ovaries.
Yeah.
What role does the father play on our sexual preferences and decision making? So if my dad, am I taking, as a woman, do I take cues on what a good partner is from looking at my dad?
Of course.
I have not seen any research that has looked at that.
Yes.
I've seen some research looking at whether women prefer...
We don't need research. Women are looking for their fathers in the men they're dating, just like men are looking for aspects of their mother in the women they're dating. As a young girl growing up and then looking out into the world of what a good man is, the very first example you have will be your father. Every man you date must measure up to your father or surpass him in some way. That is the baseline of how you look at men. When you have no father present, you have absolutely no bearing, no foundation on what a man is, what makes a man valuable, and how a man is supposed to act. That is why women that grow up in single parent households, single mother households, because the single fathers do just fine, statistically backed, as well as dual parent households. But in a single mother household, that girl will grow up to literally make the worst decisions in men because she'll either copy the mother, was raised in a home where a revolving door of strange men come through that are coming and going, leading to these issues of abandonment, feeling like every man that's ever invested in you will eventually disappear since you were a little girl. And so now you try to get this love and attention you've lacked from men, try to feel this security, try to get rid of the abandonment by doing the one thing you know men want, having sex with them. And then they treat you the same and disappear. So then you keep having sex. So then your body count rises. And then you learn that through sex, you can use men to get attention. And that's the only way you know how to get men. And good examples of what a man is, characteristics, values, morals, doesn't exist because you never had one present. Your mama's too fucking stupid to keep one long term. So you're raised in a household with bad men coming and going. God forbid, hopefully, they didn't try to touch you or do anything because your mother sure as hell's too stupid to pick a good one. And that's the brutal reality of single mother households today. Is it taboo to talk about out loud? Yes. But if you open your fucking legs for a man, decide to have the baby, and he steps out on you, that's your fault. You didn't pick a man correctly. You didn't vet him. And now Pookie and Chad and Tyrone and Chang and all the bad boys you've ever smashed just disappear on you, left to be yet another single mother. And you know what the sickest part of this fucking loop is? That society gaslights them and tells them it's okay to give your kid the worst launch in life. It's okay to be a struggling single parent. It's okay. You are strong. You're empowered. You can do it. You can be the dad and the mom. They even try to take credit when it's Father's Day. All the single mothers coping hard as fuck. Happy Father's Day to me. I'm the best father he never had. Shut up, you idiot. Your kid is fucked and ending up on a pole or in jail because you were too dumb to pick the correct man. And society lauds you for it. Why? Because they got another government victim dependent on the system forever, perpetuating the cycle of poverty, misery, and dependence, drug abuse, incarceration, you name it. We applaud this shit in the West. It's ridiculous. Take away all fucking benefits from people that have children and don't stay together. You get not a penny from the state. If anything, you get fined. If you have a child with somebody, you should get fined extra taxes at the end of the year every time you split apart. Make sure people don't have kids until they're ready to. And give them incentives to start a life in a family. Give them a low to no interest loan to buy a house. We should all be helping people get homes, have stable households so that they can do better when it comes to family planning. Solve the family planning issue, make it affordable to have kids, and then incentivize and disincentivize people from doing things like divorce. Like mothers just up and leaving a marriage because, midlife crisis. I just wanted to change and chase the child. No, fuck you. You get no money. You get no alimony. You will be left out on the streets, and since your husband earns, or if he earns more, the kids get to stay with him instead of you. You will leave with nothing. People will be thinking twice about breaking up their perfect lives. Just because little inconveniences happen, people up and leave their entire livelihoods today, break apart families, create these broken systems, families, culture, nations. We need to incentivize marriage and people sticking together and helping them have children. We need to disincentivize people that are looking to get divorced and have single parent households sprouting up everywhere. Child out of wedlock, tax the shit out of people. I don't care, bro. I'm done playing the nice guy in this conversation. You can do what you want. Look at what you can do what you want mentality, the slippery slope that we're under. Society's crumbling. Everyone's bitching. You can't afford anything. Our politicians are trash. The apathy is like reached through the roof. People can't even survive the next day, let alone care about politics, policy, and governing around them. This is all because we've destroyed the family unit. It should come first before any fucking thing else state related. Build strong families, then you will have strong nation states. Until then, I don't want to fucking hear it. So yes, get draconian on people. Make family planning cheap, affordable, supported by the state, and disincentivize all the bums that are mooching off the state currently to support their degenerate households. End of. I don't want to hear any of this shit anymore.
Partners who are kind of similar to their dads.
Do they?
And they do seem to.
See?
And which is interesting in its own right. But I do not know anything.
It's not interesting. It's just common sense. Excuse the rant, but I'm sick of this shit, dude. So many broken people coming from broken homes, and society doesn't want to touch on the point that we reward this bullshit and benefit financially off of it. At least the government does, but our societies are crumbling because of it. Yeah. Anyways, thoughts on the topic below. My draconian Nazi style final solution to family planning and child rearing. I'm telling you, if I became president, we would experience a population boom, and all the degeneracy and getting wrecked in court and all this. There would be consequences beyond what you could ever imagine. Your life would be ruined. I would make life simultaneously utopia for you if you wanted to start a family, get married, and stay together, paired for life, while simultaneously turning it into hell if you choose to try to abuse the system, have children out of wedlock, or destroy your marriage. End of story. Stay fucking single. Keep your legs closed and your dick in your pants then if you don't want to partake. Because I'm sick of society crumbling. Nowhere is safe anymore. We're surrounded by degeneracy. Look around you. Jesus. Anywho. Coffee's got me acting up. Thoughts, boys. Sign up to the second channel if you haven't. Links in the description below. Appreciate everybody that's been doing the private consults, joining us on the calls. They happen 5 times a week. We'll be doing another one tonight in a couple hours. And take care, everybody. Say no to the degeneracy. Plant your flag. Draw the fucking line in the sand and never back away from it ever again. We're falling off a cliff. It's no longer a slippery slope.